Hello, you beautiful nerds. So, one of the most anticipated and rumored Marvel movies ever just hit theaters. Everyone is probably more excited for the Thor and Black Panther sequels, but the implications of the multiverse have generated so many predictions about potential cameos that the internet has been losing its collective mind. Fan casting everyone from Chris Evans' Human Torch to Tom Cruise Iron Man. Far From Home got audiences salivating for more fan service, but this flick probably didn't have as many cameos as you might think. For this video, I'm going to start with a non-spoiler review and roll right into the actual cameos, because I would like to keep it relatively non-spoilery for as long as possible. But I also want to talk about these cameos, because, come on, that's what we really want to talk about. So take a seat and have your psychedelics on standby, because we're going to have a quick chat about Doctor Strange is not happy. He's at his ex-girlfriend's wedding, so naturally, he's thinking about his life regrets. Standard jealous ex-boyfriend stuff. He then encounters a young girl named America Chavez who has the ability to travel through universes. Apparently, some big bad is chasing America and is after her powers. So now Wong, Strange, and Chavez must travel through the multiverse to obtain the Book of Ashanti, whilst trying to outrun a powerful new threat. After Scott Derrickson quit the film, I assumed that Marvel was probably going to get some green young director that they could tell what to do. It's no secret that some of these directors kind of get their artistic vision washed away in the MCU stream, but much to my surprise, they went and got OG Spider-Man director Sam Raimi. I'm sure Raimi knows how to play well with others, but I also imagine that no one on set was telling him shit. Dude knows how to make a fucking comic book movie. It definitely felt like a Raimi film. Sam and crew really pushed the visuals, and I'm not even talking about the CGI. There were transitions and camera movements that felt distinctly not from the MCU cinematography grab bag. Yeah, there were moments that felt like old school Spider-Man, but in the second half of the movie, we really get into some Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell, Darkman vibes. And this is a slight spoiler, because you can see it in the trailers, but zombie Doctor Strange is my favorite. Benedict Cumberbatch pretty much has Evil Dead zombie makeup on. It's pretty great. This film takes place shortly after the events of Spider-Man Home is Where the Heart Is, but ironically, it has nothing to do with that movie. It just happens to deal with another multiverse event. It's kind of weird how many multiverse stories we're getting right now. Not only Loki and Spider-Man, but also Everything Everywhere All at Once deals with the multiverse and a lot of the same themes of identity and what it means to be happy. Kevin Hart even did a multiverse spoof in a Netflix series last year. The shit is everywhere. It might just be weirdly a collective consciousness thing, like in 2016 when we got a bunch of stories about heroes fighting other heroes, but it might also just be a reflection of the times we're living in. With a lot of people quitting their jobs to pursue a happier lifestyle or career, it seems like most of America is enamored with the question, what if my life was different? What decisions in life got me to this point? And is there still a way for me to live my best life? Xochitl Gomez was great as America Chavez. Though this is a Doctor Strange movie, this is also very much an origin story for America. It seems like the MCU is shying away from straight up origin story flicks for their new heroes and rather introducing them via Disney Plus series, or in this case, piggybacking on an established character sequel. I mean, Spider-Man and Black Panther were introduced into the MCU the same way. This pretty much hits all the same beats as a young superhero coming into their own type movie, but having it be a buddy adventure story with a character we're already familiar with separated it from the usual malaise of the predictable origin story.
This is a pretty hardcore origin story.
We get the whole, has a great power but doesn't know how to control it, but it's really because of a deep-seated trauma and fear, but then you realize that the power was inside you all along type of thing. But since she's not the main character, her arc gets pretty streamlined. Again, I like it when we get character introductions like this in the MCU. Hopefully this just means we get more of the character in the future, because I wouldn't mind seeing a Young Avengers Disney Plus series with her, Miss Marvel, and Kate Bishop. Maybe even Spider-Man too? He's still young, sort of. He's still pretty young. Elizabeth Olsen picks up where she left off, absolutely killing the role of Wanda Maximoff. Her accent is still atrocious, but since Agatha called her out in it on WandaVision, I'm weirdly not as mad about it.
That accent really comes and goes, doesn't it?
Regardless, her character has a relatable point of view in this movie. She's still grieving over having to kill her entire family. And that on top of the Darkhold apparently corrupting her mind, it's pretty believable that Wanda would full on break bad like this. I also really dug the line from the trailer where she's like, if you break the rules, you're a hero. But if I break the rules, I'm the bad guy. That doesn't seem fair. It's a very good point, because the Avengers are breaking the rules fucking always, and they seem to always get away with it.
We're not here to talk about the Avengers.
Oh no?
No. what they did was supposed to happen.
Smartly, this is the main focus of the film. With great power comes great responsibility, and Strange wants all the power and all the responsibility all the time because he always thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. As tragically wasted in the MCU, Rachel McAdams says in the movie, Strange always has to be the one holding the knife. Dude is arrogant, but that arrogance comes from a need for control and a fear of failure.
I did what I had to do to protect our world.
You cannot control everything, Strange.
Alright, what you all been waiting for. Let's get into these spoilery cameos, which is basically all of the members of the Illuminati.
Stephen Strange.
The Illuminati will see you now.
First, I guess I should mention the most obvious one since they mentioned him in the fucking trailer. But anyway, Professor X is in this movie. When my guy rolled in and they played the theme song from the X-Men animated series, I immediately start giggling out my asshole. I was fucking thrilled. I didn't even watch the trailers before I saw this, so I was genuinely surprised by this. But this wasn't even the biggest cameo in my opinion. We'll get to that in a second. Next, Lashana Lynch, who played Monica Rambeau, is the Captain Marvel in this universe. It was pretty cool seeing her again, especially since her character went by the moniker Captain Marvel in the comics before Carol Danvers took on the role. Speaking of captains, next up, Captain Carter. My baby girl Haley Atwell is back. I'm probably one of like 15 people who watched Agent Carter, but that show was much better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Haley Atwell is a fucking G in that series. I was pretty jazzed when she was in What If, but they finally gave Homegirl the respect she deserves and gave us a live-action debut of her super soldier character. Speaking of shows that no one watched, Anson Mount reprises his role as Black Bolt from the poorly received Inhumans TV series. I always thought he was good casting for that character, and I'm glad they brought him back in the comic book accurate costume. And last, but certainly not least, we get the introduction of motherflippin' Mr. Fantastic, played by Jimmy Jim John Krasinski. Whoever did this fan edit probably came until they died when they saw this in the movie theater. So RIP to that guy. I don't know if this is a one-off thing. Clearly Patrick Stewart isn't going to be the Professor X for the MCU going forward, so this just might be a Fox flex by Disney, and Jim is just the Mr. Fantastic of this universe, and they'll cast someone else for the upcoming film. But I would not be mad if we got John and Emily as our new Sue and Reed Richards. I mean, not for nothing, but the director's chair is open, and dude clearly knows how to direct a movie and act in it at the same time. I'm glad the movie wasn't oversaturated with cameos, because it would have probably felt overcrowded. But now I'm just patiently waiting for an announcement from Marvel, because I feel like we're gonna get some news about the mutants and the Marvel's first family after audiences have had a chance to see this movie. Oh, I almost forgot. Charlize Theron is in the MCU, baby. Theron?
How to pronounce Charlize Theron? Well, that was it.
I'm not very familiar with this character, but she does have a romantic relationship with Doctor Strange in the comic books, so we might get a buddy team-up movie from Strange to round out his trilogy, if we don't see her sooner in one of the other MCU films. Because eventually all these multiversal, multi-dimensional storylines have to intersect with each other, right? Like, where my nigga Kang at? Beyond all these crazy cameos, this movie didn't really blow me away. I mean, it was fast-paced and action-packed, but the story was pretty simple and didn't try to reinvent the sophomore superhero movie wheel. I definitely liked it more than the first Doctor Strange movie, and it was so much fun. Like there was some incredible magic action. But for the themes that this movie was trying to tackle, it wasn't very emotionally moving for me. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Not every MCU flick has to move me to tears, especially when it has multiple moments that made me grin from ear to ear. It could have leaned a little more into the horror elements, but it went way further than any other Marvel movie has gotten, so I gotta give it props for dipping its toe into some very creepy waters. According to Raimi, one of the main reasons he took the job was because he basically wanted to know if he could still do it. I mean, dude did lead the superhero genre on not great terms, and I can say without a doubt, Sam, you still got it. My ranking, I liked it. That's it for this review. I'll probably go into more detailed stuff when we talk about it on the pod. But what did you think of Doctor Strange 2? And where would you rank it among other sci-fi comic book movies that deal with the multiverse? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that jazz. Though you're not listening, you probably already stopped watching at this point. But anyway, thanks for all of your support, you guys. Stay safe, my little Ashantis, and may the force be with you.